Good morning all. Bit of a brisk, cool, early summer morning, but it's the 1st of June today. First day of the, in theory, summer orchid season, and we're at Mary's Meadows and we're chasing after Heath Spotted Orchids. I've come deliberately slightly early this season. I'm gambling a little bit that the Heath Spotteds will be out, but maybe the common Spotteds will be holding back. Nothing against common Spotteds, but it just helps me identify what I'm looking at. They also fade very quickly, I find. You know, Heath Spotted Orchids are mainly pink and white, so it's nice to have the pink in there, and for the better quality plants. But the pink fades fast, so once the flowers have been out for a couple of days, they start to go to a sort of more bland pink, and they're not so attractive. So that's my sort of wacky theory for today, that coming out when they're probably a third to a half open, I might get some better plants, but we'll go and see, and fingers crossed, you never know. I said that was a common spotted orchid, but I'm pretty sure it's a Heath Spotted Orchid, because the commons shouldn't really be this far advanced, and that was my theory. Still looks more like a common spotted than it does a Heath Spotted, but it's the first one on the site, so whatever it is, good to see. That one is definitely a Heath Spotted. There's a nice one. Looks like my theory is probably right. They're quite nicely coloured. They certainly haven't faded yet, and that's definitely a Heath Spotted Orchid. That is a clonker, an early doors clonker. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything with that sort of pink blush before. It almost doesn't, it almost looks like a Southern Marsh orchid, but it's not. It's definitely a Heath Spotted Orchid. Very, very nice. There's a lot of good markings on these. Bold markings. There's a nice one there, and there's a nice one next door. That's another nice pink blush Heath Spotted Orchid. There's another very nice one just behind it. Some very unusual markings on some of these. That's another lovely pink coloured Heath Spotted. I saw a lot of these about 3 years ago, but I kind of missed them over the last 2 seasons. I've always left it too late. And the colour goes, but these are in their prime. Not sure what this is doing down here. Green-winged orchid hanging on. Pretty sure I've not seen a green-winged orchid at the bottom field before. There's still a few hanging on the top field, but yeah, not seen one down here. Another boldly marked plant. Just to prove my point, that's a common spotted, and you can see it's not, or it's just about coming out, but they're well behind the Heath Spotteds, which should help with ID today. Basically, if it's open, or fully open, or close to fully open, it's going to be a Heath Spotted Orchid. That's very nice. Plenty of Heath Spotteds out. They're quite diminutive things, you know. They probably look bigger on camera than they are in reality. Sorry, probably 4 to 6 inches on average in height. You do have to get down with these. Get down, get wet knees, but well worth it. Beautiful colouring on that one. Love that one. Superb. Certainly some spots on that one. Classic Heath Spotted Orchid, that. That's a nice youthful plant where you've got really strong colouring. I'm sure if I came back in a few days' time, this one would be a bit blander in colouring, but it's quite fresh. Now that is an absolute A-grade clonker. Absolutely, we won't see a better one than that today. What fantastic markings. Very dark and rich for a Heath Spotted as well. They don't often go this dark in terms of the markings, but that's an absolute belter. There's quite a few of these with what to me are unusual markings. Instead of a sort of widespread fine spots, you've got markings that are almost more typical of, I don't know, early marsh orchids and whatever, with little sacs and spots inside, but they're all forms of Heath Spotted Orchid. There's no hybrids here as far as I'm concerned. Unusual though. That is very unusual. I said on the way in, if I could catch them early, they do have a certain amount of vibrancy. You won't see many Heath Spotted Orchids with that much vibrancy of colouring. That is very unusual, and I bet it won't stay this way for long, but it's great to catch it looking like that. Very unusual. Great numbers, great numbers. Probably as good as I've seen here in terms of sheer volume. And I think because we have caught them relatively early, they are in their prime colour wise, which is exactly what I wanted. Absolutely spot on, excuse the pun. What I want now is a white. I've seen one pure white Heath Spotted Orchid, and that was about 4 years ago down here. So there's just so many here. There has to be a white. There has to be a white somewhere. I'd love to see an all white Heath Spotted Orchid. They're quite hard to find. Got to be one here. But a fantastic collection anyway, tremendous. Keep looking. Beautiful colouring on that one. You can see at the top it's got that lovely pink blush. If you look at the bottom flower, it's gone. They just fade so quickly after they've come out. You've got to catch them early. Chaos markings. That one's about 10 inches tall actually, sort of stands out well above its colleagues. Not sure why. That is another absolute clonker. Fantastic markings. That's another absolute clonker. Superb, classic Heath Spotted Orchid markings on it, which is quite a contrast to the one just to its left. Bear with me. Much simpler, less spotty markings, more lines on it. You'd almost say there's some sort of common spotted influence going on, but I'm not going to say that. But just completely contrasting markings. That's another absolute beauty. I mean, it's just, there's the slightest of markings on the throat, tiny spots. Otherwise it's just a blush coloured pink all over. Unusual. Stunning though. That's a beauty. Just wanted to show you how tiny these are. So if you don't see Heath Spotted Orchids, and I suspect there are some bigger ones in different areas of the country, they just don't grow very big here. To give you an idea of the size of these, I haven't got a pound coin, being a poor person, but I've got a trolley coin here. I'll put it next to it. You can see how small these are. What's that, about 2 inches tall, 5 centimetres in new money. Tiny little things, you just have to get down to enjoy them. Lovely markings again. A lovely sort of rose pink coloured Heath Spotted Orchid. Another very unusual colour scheme. Another incredibly vibrant colour for a Heath Spotted Orchid. That's an absolute clonker. I think that one wins the prize for having the greatest number of spots on the flowers. That's absolutely incredible. Manic. What a beautiful family group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 identical Heath Spotted Orchids. Beautiful. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, yeah, definitely never seen this many before down here. It's an absolute classic season for Heath Spotted Orchids, and they're close to being in their prime, and yeah, probably just short in terms of full flowering, but in terms of full colouring, absolutely spot on. Really good. Couldn't find a white, but yeah, very impressive. I love Heath Spotted Orchids, and yeah, I've never seen them better than this. Absolutely superb stuff. I'm just wandering across the sort of forgotten field of the 3 fields that make up Mary's Meadows. And you've got the green-winged field, you've got the Heath Spotted field, and you've got this massive field around me here. And I've never seen, well, I have seen an orchid back near the path, which is sort of closest to the other fields. You get a few common spotteds later in the year. But yeah, there's never anything here, and yet you look at it and you think it's screaming out for orchids to grow here. But I'm just wandering through it now in the hope I might find something, even if it's gone over, so that I can target it next year. But there's no evidence or sign of any orchids in here. Maybe in decades to come they'll turn up, but at the moment, yeah, lovely beautiful field, lovely flower meadow. Orchids excluded, it seems. Okay, that's it. Brilliant. Happy with that. Everything I hoped it would be today. And I've had a few bum trips down here to see Heath Spotteds when they've just not been out, or they've been out and gone over. I did put some work in to get this one right, and it was spot on. I was really happy with that. They are fresh. They're not fully open, but that's what I wanted, to get the colour before it fades. And as you saw in the video, some really colourful plants there. Really nice. Really pleased. Great numbers. Didn't get a white, didn't get common spotted, which was good for this trip. I love common spotted, but I didn't want them mixing in with the Heath Spotted, so I'm having to try and work out what I'm looking at. If they were in flower, they were Heath Spotted, and they were Heath Spotted. So pleased with that. It is the 1st of June. It's the summer orchid season at last. You don't feel like it, but it is. As for Monday next week, I've got 3 weeks of a absolute packed diary, so things will start moving. Right in the middle of it, 2 weeks time, I'm off to a different part of the country to do a sort of mini and very frantic orchid tour. I won't say too much where, because I'm still planning it at the moment, but it should be good, and I'm really looking forward to that one. But it's going to be busy, so as ever, thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button at the end. It puts a smile on my face, if nothing else. So thanks again. See you next week.